everyone, my name is NZ Chen and I am a PhD student at the University of California, Berkeley. Today, I will give a tutorial on an interactive learning activity known as Think, Pair, Share and how to do it with Zoom breakout rooms for your online classroom. Note that I am already in screen share mode and presenting a set of slides. So if you think this is what you might experience in the fall, then I hope you find this video helpful. In particular, this tutorial will be broken down into 3 parts. In the first part, I will give an overview of the Think, Pair, Share learning exercise. Then, I will give an overview of how Zoom breakout rooms work. And finally, I'll conclude with a demonstration that combines the first 2 elements. Jumping right in, Think, Pair, Share is a simple activity that consists of 3 parts. In the first part, the instructor poses a question and students think about it individually for 30 seconds. This is really important for students to get an idea of how they would tackle the question on their own. Next, you break the students into pairs of 2 to 3 students and have them discuss their ideas for about 2 minutes. Finally, you bring everyone together and you have the groups share their ideas with the whole class. And there you have it. It really is just a very structured group discussion. It's very flexible and works for any class. And not just for online classrooms either. It works even better in person. It's a form of active learning, and research has shown to improve student performance, not just in STEM, but across all fields. In particular, I list some of the advantages of Think, Pair, Share here. I would like to highlight that it is an interactive exercise that increases student engagement, which is so critical for the online environments when we're remote and isolated. Furthermore, it is a simple and fun way to assess student understanding. So with this activity, you can easily surface any misconceptions and check how your students are doing. And finally, I would again like to emphasize that it is very easy to incorporate this into an existing lecture. It's short, and you can take any one of the complex ideas you're about to share and use it for Think, Pair, Share to motivate a discussion. Now, to really achieve these benefits, there are some considerations to make Think, Pair, Share effective. First, you should establish norms around participation. Make sure your students understand why you're using Think, Pair, Share and why you're asking them to speak up. Do not just spring it on your students, as that doesn't tend to go well. Second, open-ended questions, or ones that result in divided opinions, tend to spur a lot of discussion, maximizing the effectiveness of Think, Pair, Share. However, make sure you give your students plenty of time for each stage of the process. So this includes time for them to think of and process the question on their own, time for them to discuss it with their peers, and then time for a healthy discussion afterwards. To help with this, you should keep your group sizes small, so a maximum of 3 students, so that each student can talk, at least in their small groups. And finally, a subtle point is that you should randomize your groups to help diversify ideas. And in particular, the Zoom classroom environment has a feature that makes randomized groups very easy to achieve. When you're back in the physical classroom, you can ask your students to move to different places of the room to chat with new people. And so, this is a great transition into Zoom breakout rooms. This is a feature that allows you to split meeting participants into separate, smaller rooms. Aha! This allows us to easily create pairs among which they can have their own private discussions. These splits can be chosen manually or automatically, on demand or ahead of time. Today, we will choose the automatic live splits, which conveniently randomizes the groups. Finally, if you haven't already, make sure you download the Zoom desktop app in order to launch breakout rooms and sign in with the appropriate account. Once you've downloaded the app, there is a setting that you need to make sure to have on in order to enable breakout rooms. After you open the desktop app, shown here in the background, you can click the gear in the top right corner, which opens up the settings, and click View More Settings down at the bottom. This will take you to the online website, where you should next then click In Meeting Advanced, taking you to the page on the right, and you should just make sure that this button for breakout rooms is blue, which means it's on. Now that it's on, you can easily create breakout rooms in a Zoom meeting. Here you'll see I have a photo where I'm sharing my screen, and if you go to the More drop-down menu in the top right corner, you can select breakout rooms. When you do, this menu will pop up where it lets you assign participants into rooms and how you want to split the students. The number at the bottom will help ensure that you have the right numbers for each room. After you click Create Rooms, you will see the interface for breakout rooms. You will want to click Options down at the bottom. I like to have Move All Participants into the breakout rooms automatically, and the countdown to 10 seconds, which is the minimum amount. This reduces transition time, maximizing your valuable class time with students. Once you do this once, the settings will save as long as you're using the same meeting code. Okay, now you can click Open All Rooms to begin the breakout room session. During the session, you can monitor if people have joined their rooms with a green dot. You can also choose to join them in the room if you want to listen in on their conversation and chat with them. You can broadcast messages to all of the rooms by going down here, typing your message, and then clicking Broadcast. And finally, you can click Close All Rooms to bring everyone back into the main room. Note that while we're using breakout rooms for our Think, Pair, Share here in this tutorial, once you learn the functionality, you can use them for other things too, such as problem-solving sessions, office hours, etc. Okay, so for a very quick demonstration, I just want to show how breakout rooms function with Think, Pair, Share in real time. For this, I will use the greatest problem of all time, one of my personal favorites, the Monty Hall Problem. For those who are unfamiliar with the Monty Hall Problem, imagine you are on a game show where there are 3 closed doors in front of you. You will choose a door and win the prize that is hidden behind that door. Behind one door is a car, and behind the other 2 are goats. You pick one of the doors, and let's just say the middle one. Before you get to open that door, I open a different door, revealing a goat. I now give you the option to switch doors and choose the other prize if you wish. Note that you don't know what is behind the door you picked, but I give you the option of switching. So the question is, do you switch or do you stay? And so I would like you to take 30 seconds to think about this. To help guide your thinking, you can consider one of 3 options. Should you always switch, always stay, or it makes no difference, in that you are equally likely to get the car whether you choose to stay or to switch. So think about it. And so at this point, you would give your students about 30 seconds, and then you would tell them to please discuss this in your breakout rooms. So soon, I will be breaking you into your breakout rooms, and please unmute yourself and have a discussion with the people in your room. So you'll see we'll go up here, click breakout rooms. There are 4 guests, so we'll do 2 rooms automatically, and as you can see, it's 2 participants per room. We create the rooms, options, my settings have saved from last time, and we open all rooms. And so this will send them into their rooms. While we wait, I do want to go over a couple of tips and pointers. First, I would like to emphasize again that you should explain to your participants how Think, Pair, Share and Zoom breakout rooms work. You can do this as part of the establishing norms process. It's just as important because they probably have not seen this exercise or breakout rooms before. So you will want to cover the technical functionality and the pedagogical intent. During this part, participants in the breakout rooms will not appear on the participants list in the main room. So up here you see the number is 1, suggesting I'm the only person here, and this is how you know that your guests have entered the breakout room. Likewise, when your students are done, and they start joining the main room, this number will start to climb back up. You have the option of entering breakout rooms and listening in on students' discussions. I will not demonstrate it here, but I suggest you try this, just so you can catch some of their discussions and surface any misconceptions during the pair process. Your active participation is critical to maximizing the effectiveness of Think, Pair, Share. In the normal classroom, you could walk around the class and eavesdrop on their conversations. Note that if you are recording, the recording will not follow you into the breakout room. It will stay in the main room. And again, I mentioned you can broadcast messages to all participants. So if we go back to the interface, we can give them all a time reminder, such as this. And they will see it in each of their rooms. And finally, just as a note, make sure your students understand to leave the room and not the meeting when they're done, because you want them to come back and share their ideas. And so it's about 2 minutes for them. So we'll go back to the interface and we will close all the rooms. As you can see, they have 10 seconds, which is to come back, which is the setting we set. And soon this number should start increasing again, back up to 5. And finally, here is where you ask them to share their ideas. They can have a representative speak for each group using pronouns such as we to not single any person out. And so then here you kind of just ad-lib and see what they say. Typically, you can give them an answer as well. So here I'll just share the solution to the Monty Hall problem. Should you switch or should you stay? Well, if we think about it, initially there's a 1/3 chance we choose the car behind the door, and there's a 2/3 chance there's a goat behind our door. So let's see what happens if we switch. Well, if we started with a car, then the other 2 doors both have goats behind them. So if we switch, we're definitely getting a goat. And so that's pretty sad. But if we had a goat to begin with, and the second goat was already revealed to us, that means what's behind the last door must be a car, and that makes us happy. And so we see that the question of should we switch or should we stay can be reframed as, what is the chance we are starting with a goat, and what is the chance we're starting with a car? Since we are more likely to start with a goat, and switching from a goat gives us the car, it turns out that always switching is the correct solution to the Monty Hall problem. And so this concludes the tutorial.